What a mess, Marcus. You're pathetic. Hey, what are you doing? Cleaning up your incompetence. Everyone watch this. Stop it, Harlan. This is bullying. Bullying? I'm just showing them what a loser you are. I'm not a loser. Leave me alone. Make me.
Look how diligently that janitor is scrubbing, Harlan Graves yelled. The whole hall heard. Marcus Langston kept walking, eyes down, bucket in hand. Harlan stepped in front of him, full guy, black belt tight. You stink like bleach. You disgust me. Marcus stopped. He said nothing. Harlan snatched the mop and threw it to the floor. Students watched. No one moved. Hey, fight me. Harlan grinned wide. 1 round. It will be hilarious. A janitor versus a black belt. Who wants to watch? Laughter erupted. Phones came out. Marcus picked up the mop quietly. I do not like fighting. I see. You only know how to clean. Harlan kicked the bucket. Dirty water splashed across the floor, but this mockery was about to end, faster than anyone in that room could have imagined. Victor Langford's martial arts academy sat at the end of a quiet strip mall in suburban Atlanta. Polished glass doors, trophies lining the window display. Inside, it smelled like sweat and cedar wood. The main training hall stretched wide. Hardwood floors, mirrored walls, heavy bags hanging in the back corner. Championship banners covered the ceiling. Everyone carried the same name, Victor Langford. Victor's was no ordinary dojo. It trained champions, state titles, national rankings. Parents drove long distances to enroll their children. Monthly tuition was high. The parking lot was full of SUVs and luxury sedans. And every night, after the last student left, one man stayed behind. Marcus Langston. Marcus was quiet, broad-shouldered, but soft-spoken. He arrived every evening just as the advanced class wrapped up. Gray polo, black work pants, steel-toe boots, a mop bucket that squeaked with every step. He cleaned the mats, wiped the mirrors, emptied trash, restocked towels, and locked the doors late at night. Nobody talked to him. Nobody asked his name. To the students, Marcus was furniture, a shadow that mopped. He earned little, no benefits, no sick days. Half his paycheck went to the care facility where his mother lived. She had early onset dementia. Some weeks, Marcus ate simply so the payment would not bounce. He never complained, not once. But Marcus Langston was not what he appeared to be. Years in the United States Army, overseas deployments, and somewhere between foreign bases and military discipline, Marcus had trained under a man whose name was spoken with reverence in martial arts circles worldwide. 5th-degree black belt, Shotokan karate, not a hobby. A mastery earned through bleeding knuckles, broken ribs, and long sessions in jungle heat. Marcus never told anyone, never hung his certificates, never wore his belt. The reason was painful. During his last deployment, he intervened to protect a fellow soldier from a brutal hazing attack. He used his training. The attackers ended up hospitalized. The military sealed the record to protect the victim's identity. But Marcus carried the weight every day. The memory of how quickly his hands could end something. The fear that one day he might not stop. So he chose the mop. He chose silence. He chose to be invisible. And then there was Harlan Graves, 2nd-degree black belt, tall, powerfully built from protein shakes and ego. His father, Garrett Mercer, owned a chain of luxury car dealerships across Georgia. Garrett's donations kept Victor Langford's academy running. New mats, equipment, a renovated locker room with his name on a brass plaque. Harlan knew this. Everyone knew this. He walked through the dojo like he owned it. Technically, his family almost did. He trained regularly, competed in regional tournaments, and won often enough to believe he was untouchable. But beneath the confidence was something brittle. His father called him soft. You have every advantage, and you still cannot be the best. That sentence lived in Harlan's chest like a splinter. So Harlan found someone to be better than, someone who could not fight back. Marcus, Every night after the students left, Marcus had a ritual. He would finish mopping, turn off the lights, and in the dark, empty hall, he would move. Kata. Fluid. Precise. Devastating. His bare feet barely touched the floor. His strikes cut the air without sound. In the mirror, his reflection moved like water. Smooth. Controlled. Lethal. No audience. No applause, just Marcus and the ghost of everything he used to be. One night, dojo manager Lydia Monroe came back for forgotten keys. She pushed open the door and froze. The hall was dark, but she heard something. Sharp exhales, the whisper of feet on wood. She flipped the light. Marcus stood center mat, sweating, breathing hard, mop in hand as if he had been cleaning. "Working late?" she asked. "Just finishing up," he said. Lydia looked at the dry floor, then at the sweat on his forehead. She said nothing, but she did not forget. It started on an ordinary evening. Harlan was leading the advanced sparring class. Several students on the mat. Marcus was in the back hallway restocking paper towels in the bathroom. Harlan paused the drill. "Hold on," he said. He walked off the mat, bare feet slapping the hardwood, and stopped at the supply closet where Marcus was kneeling. "Hey, mop man, come here." Marcus stood slowly. "You need something?" Harlan grabbed a sparring helmet from the shelf and shoved it into Marcus's chest. "Put it on. We need a body for drills." "I am working," Marcus said. "You are working for us." Harlan's voice dropped. "My dad pays your check. So when I say come to the mat, you come to the mat." The room went still. Several students watched. Nobody spoke. Marcus set the helmet down. "I will pass." Harlan stepped closer, close enough that Marcus could smell the mouth guard in his hand. "You do not get to pass. You are the help. Act like it." Marcus looked at him, calm, steady. Then he turned around and went back to restocking the towels. Harlan stood there for a moment. His jaw tightened. Then he walked back to the mat, snatched a kicking pad, and threw it down the hallway. It bounced off Marcus's mop bucket with a loud crack. "Clean that up too," Harlan called, without looking back. The students laughed. Not all of them, but enough. Marcus picked up the kicking pad, set it neatly against the wall, and kept working. That night, Harlan sat at a high-top table in a downtown bar with two of his training buddies. Several drinks in, he was loud. "You should have seen his face," Harlan said, grinning. "I told him to get on the mat, and he looked like he was about to cry." His friends laughed. "The guy's pathetic." Big dude, too, built like a linebacker, but soft. Harlan tapped his temple. "No fighting him. Zero." He took a long sip. His smile faded for just a second, because somewhere underneath the bravado, Harlan heard his father's voice, soft. "You are soft." He shook it off, ordered another round. Back at the dojo, Marcus stood alone in the dark training hall. His hands were shaking. He looked at the empty mat and whispered to himself, "Not yet." The next week it got worse. Harlan started filming Marcus, not secretly, openly. He held his phone up like a tourist at a zoo, narrating while Marcus mopped the training hall floor. "Ladies and gentlemen, meet the dojo mascot." Harlan's voice dripped with amusement. "Watch how he scrubs. Beautiful form, truly elite technique. Somebody get this man a belt. A mop belt." He posted the clip on his social media. Caption: "Our janitor thinks he works at a dojo. Bro, you are the dojo entertainment." Laughing emojis. Plenty of likes in a short time. Marcus saw it that night, sitting on his apartment floor eating cold rice from a plastic container. He stared at the screen for a moment. Then he put the phone face down and finished his meal. The next day, Harlan took it further. Marcus kept his cleaning supplies in a small closet near the back entrance. Mop heads, disinfectant, trash bags, rubber gloves. It was not much, but it was organized. Marcus kept everything in order, military habit. When he opened the closet one evening, it was empty. Everything gone. He checked the hallway, the bathroom, the storage room. Nothing. He found his supplies 20 minutes later, stuffed inside the dumpster behind the building, mop heads soaked in old protein shake, rubber gloves shredded, a note taped to the trash bag in black marker, where your stuff belongs. Marcus pulled everything out, washed what he could, replaced what he could not out of his own pocket. Money he did not have. He did not report it. There was no one to report it to. Lydia Monroe managed the schedule and the books, not the students. And the owner, Victor Langford, had not been at the dojo in some time. He was on the regional tournament circuit, training fighters in other states. The dojo belonged to Harlan now. At least that is how it felt. Another evening, Harlan escalated again. He walked into the break room during Marcus's short dinner break. Marcus was sitting alone at the small table in the corner, eating a sandwich he had brought from home. Harlan looked at him, then at the two students sitting at the other table. "Y'all are eating in here with him?" Harlan said it casually, like he was commenting on the weather. "It smells like floor cleaner. I cannot even taste my food." The two students looked at each other. One of them picked up his plate and left. The other followed shortly after. Marcus kept chewing, eyes on his sandwich, jaw tight. Harlan leaned against the doorframe and smiled. "See? Nobody wants to sit with the cleaning guy. Take a hint." That was the night Marcus almost broke. He was mopping the main hall when Harlan came out of the locker room, still in his GI. He walked directly across the wet floor Marcus had just cleaned, leaving footprints on every tile. "Missed a spot," Harlan said without stopping. Marcus gripped the mop handle. His knuckles turned white. His shoulders shifted just slightly into a stance that had not surfaced in years. His breathing changed. Shorter, controlled. Combat breathing. Then he caught himself. He loosened his grip, relaxed his shoulders, and started mopping again. But his body had remembered. And that scared him more than Harlan ever could. A new student noticed what no one else did, Nora Ellison, a graphic designer who joined Victor Langford's academy recently for self-defense classes. She was quiet, observant, and uncomfortable with what she was seeing. She watched Harlan throw a wet towel at Marcus's face during class. She watched Marcus catch it instinctively, without flinching, one hand snapping up faster than anyone in the room could have reacted, and then pretend he had simply reached for it. Nora's eyes narrowed. That catch was not normal. That was trained reflex. She said nothing, but she started paying closer attention. That weekend, Harlan was at home scrolling through his phone. On impulse, he typed Marcus's name into a search engine. It took a few clicks to find it. United States Army, honorable discharge. Harlan stared at the screen. For a moment, just a moment, something flickered in his expression, not respect, recognition, the understanding that Marcus was not just some random guy with a mop. But instead of backing off, Harlan leaned in. The next morning, he walked into the dojo and announced it to the whole class. "Yo, did you guys know our janitor was in the Army?" He said it like a punchline. Years of service, and he ended up cleaning our floors. That is the American dream right there, folks. Students shifted, a few forced laughs. Nora looked at the ground. "I mean, what happened?" Harlan continued pacing the mat. "You go overseas, you serve your country, and you come back to mop toilets? Either the Army broke him or there was not much there to begin with." Marcus was in the hallway. He heard every word. His mop stopped moving for a moment, then it started again. That evening, Harlan called a meeting with the senior students. He stood in front of the mirror wall, arms crossed, grinning like a kid planning a prank. "Next weekend, we are doing a fun match. Staff versus students. And by staff, I mean Marcus." A student named Tyler frowned. "He is not going to agree to that." "He does not need to agree," Harlan said. "He works here. We tell him to show up, he shows up. Simple." Tyler shook his head but said nothing. Harlan pointed at the group. "I want everyone here, full G. Bring your phones. This is going to be content." He pulled out his phone and started a group chat. The message read, "Weekend, Marcus versus me." Dojo mascot gets a promotion. The laughing emojis piled up. Back in the hallway, Marcus finished his shift. He locked the front door, walked to his car, and sat in the dark for a while. His phone buzzed. A text from a number he did not recognize. Someone had forwarded the group chat screenshot. Marcus read it twice. Then he set the phone on the passenger seat and closed his eyes. He knew what was coming. And for the first time in years, he did not look away. One evening, Marcus sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the resignation letter he had typed on his phone. 2 sentences, polite, clean, done. His thumb hovered over send. Then his phone rang. The care facility. His mother's evening call. Her voice was thin but steady. She asked about his day. He lied and said it was fine. She asked if the people at work treated him well. He paused too long. Marcus? Yes, ma'am. You were thinking about running from something. He did not answer. Baby, you never ran from anything. Not boot camp, not overseas. Do not you start now. He closed his eyes, deleted the resignation letter. The next morning, Marcus made 2 moves. First, he found Nora Ellison in the parking lot before class. He had never spoken to her directly. He kept his voice low. This weekend, Harlan is planning something on the mat. I need someone I can trust to record the whole thing, start to finish, no editing. Nora looked at him for a long moment. I will be there. Second, he called Dominic Shaw, old Army buddy, now a civil rights attorney in downtown Atlanta. Marcus explained the situation in under 2 minutes. Dominic's response was immediate. Do not throw the first punch. Do not say anything threatening. And call me the second it is over. Marcus hung up. He did not plan to fight. He planned to be ready. The day of the event, the dojo was packed. Word had spread through the group chat like gasoline. Every senior student showed up. A few beginners, too. Even some friends from outside the dojo who had never stepped on a mat in their lives. Dozens of people crowded the training hall, phones in hand, energy buzzing like a room before a championship bout. Harlan stood in the center of the mat. Fresh G, belt retied twice for the camera. He was bouncing on his toes, rolling his neck, shadow boxing the air like he was warming up for a title fight. The crowd loved it. A few students clapped. Someone started a slow chant. Mop man, mop man, mop man. Marcus walked in through the back door. Work clothes, no gi, no belt, no college, no gloves. Just Marcus. Looking like he had come to fix a leaking faucet. Harlan spotted him immediately. There he is, the main event. Laughter rippled through the room. Someone whistled. A phone flash went off. Come on, Marcus. Get on the mat. Harlan waved him over. Do not be scared. I'll go easy on you. 60%, maybe 40. I'm here to set up chairs for the youth class, Marcus said quietly. Chairs can wait. Harlan's grin vanished. His voice flattened. Get on the mat, or do I need to call my dad and have a conversation about your employment? The room went silent. Everyone understood what that meant. Marcus stood still for a moment. He looked around the room, dozens of faces, many phones recording. Nora Ellison in the back corner, her phone steady, angle wide, exactly where he had asked her to be. He stepped onto the mat. The crowd erupted, clapping, howling. Someone yelled, Mop man versus the champ. Another voice added, somebody get this man a mop to fight with. Harlan tossed him a sparring helmet. Marcus caught it with one hand, quick, clean, without looking. He held it for a moment, then set it on the floor. I do not need this, he said. Harlan laughed. Your funeral. They squared up. Harlan in a textbook fighting stance. Left foot forward, hands high, chin tucked. Marcus stood straight, arms at his sides, feet shoulder-width apart. To everyone watching, he looked like a man waiting for a bus. Harlan did not waste time. He threw a jab, fast, clean, aimed at Marcus's chin. Marcus moved his head just enough. The fist passed his ear. He did not raise his hands, did not step back, just shifted like a tree bending in a breeze. Harlan frowned, threw a cross, harder this time. Marcus turned his torso slightly. The punch grazed his shoulder and went past, no contact. The crowd murmured. Harlan reset, threw a front kick, fast, snapping. Aimed at Marcus's midsection, Marcus pivoted on his back foot. The kick hit nothing but air. His feet moved so smoothly they barely made a sound on the mat. Now the murmuring stopped. Something was wrong. The janitor was not getting hit. Harlan's expression changed. The grin was gone. He came in with a 3-punch combo, jab, cross, hook. Fast, technical. The kind of combination that won him trophies. Marcus slipped the jab, parried the cross with his forearm. The sound was a sharp crack that echoed off the mirrors. And the hook? He simply was not there for it. He had already moved. One step. No panic. No rush. No wasted motion. The room was dead silent now. Even the chanting had died. Harlan's breathing changed. Heavier. Faster. His footwork got sloppy. Frustration leaked into every movement. He threw a spinning back kick, his showpiece move, the one that always landed in competition, the one his social media highlight reel opened with. Marcus read it before Harlan's body even turned. He stepped inside the rotation so close that Harlan's legs sailed behind him harmlessly. For a split second, Marcus was inches from Harlan's face. Their eyes met. Harlan saw something in Marcus's expression that he had never seen before. Calm. Complete, terrifying calm. The kind of calm that comes from knowing exactly how this ends. Marcus stepped back. Still had not thrown a single strike. "Fight back!" Harlan shouted. His voice cracked. Sweat dripped from his chin. "Stop running and fight!" Marcus said nothing. Harlan charged. A wild overhand right fueled by frustration, ego, and weeks of humiliating a man who turned out to be something else entirely. Marcus moved like water. He stepped offline, caught Harlan's extended arm at the wrist and elbow, redirected the momentum, and executed a single throw. One technique. Clean. Textbook. Perfect. Harlan's feet left the ground. For one frozen second, he was airborne. Then he hit the mat, flat on his back. The impact echoed through the hall like a thunderclap. The air left Harlan's lungs in a single ugly gasp. He lay there, staring at the ceiling, chest heaving, mouth open. He did not get up. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Dozens of phones kept recording in absolute silence. Marcus stood over him, not gloating, not posing, just standing, breathing, steady. He extended his hand down to Harlan. Harlan slapped it away. Marcus nodded once, stepped off the mat. Then the door opened. Victor Langford walked into the training hall. Silver hair cropped short, a worn leather bag over his shoulder. He had driven from a tournament, arriving earlier than expected. He stopped in the doorway. His eyes swept the room. The crowd, the phones, Harlan flat on the mat, gasping for air, and Marcus standing barefoot at the edge, still in his work clothes. Victor's bag slid off his shoulder and hit the floor with a heavy thud. He looked at Marcus. Marcus looked at him. And then Sensei Victor Langford, 6-time national champion, founder of the academy, the most respected martial artist in the state of Georgia, placed his feet together, straightened his back, and bowed. Not a nod, not a casual tilt of the head, a deep, full bow. The kind reserved for a master. The kind no one in this room had ever seen Victor give to anyone. The room did not breathe. "It has been a long time," Victor said, quietly. "Master Langston." Dozens of phones captured the moment. The silence was so thick you could hear the air conditioning humming in the ceiling. Then someone in the back whispered, "What the hell?" Marcus bowed back, slow, respectful, equal. Nora Ellison uploaded the unedited footage, all several minutes, to every platform she could reach. Title: Black Belt Dares Janitor to Fight. Sensei walks in and bows to him. By sundown, hundreds of thousands of views. By midnight, over 1 million. Comments exploded. The hashtag Janitor Sensei trended on multiple platforms. Then came Respect the Unseen. Local stations picked it up. National blogs, sports channels. Marcus Langston, the man nobody talked to, the shadow that mopped, was suddenly everywhere. By the next morning, his phone would not stop buzzing. Reporters, puckcasters, old army buddies, messages from strangers saying he inspired them. But not all the calls were friendly, because by the next afternoon, Harlan Graves' father had hired a lawyer. Garrett Mercer did not waste time. By the following morning, Marcus Langston was served with papers. Assault and battery filed in the county superior court. The plaintiff, Harlan Graves. The attorney, Randall Voss. One of the most expensive litigation lawyers in the city, the kind whose suits cost more than Marcus's car. Marcus sat in his apartment reading the document several times. His hands were steady. His stomach was not. He called Dominic Shaw. "They are coming after me," Marcus said. "I know." Dominic replied, "I saw the news." The news? That was the second blow. Garrett Mercer had not just hired a lawyer. He had hired a media consultant. A woman whose entire job was shaping public narratives before they reached a courtroom. And she was very good at her job. By the next day, an edited clip appeared on every local news channel. A short clip. It showed Marcus executing the throw. Harlan airborne. Harlan hitting the mat. Harlan gasping on the floor. No context. No build-up. No several minutes of Harlan throwing punches first. Just a big man in work clothes slamming a younger man to the ground. The headline on one channel read, "Violent janitor attacks student at local dojo." Another went with, "Martial Arts Academy under fire after janitor assaults trainee." A talk radio host called Marcus a ticking time bomb disguised as a cleaning man. The comment sections split in half. The people who had seen Nora's full video defended Marcus, but millions more had only seen the short, edited clip. And that was enough. That man should be in jail. He could have killed that kid. Why was a janitor even allowed on the mat? Marcus stopped reading after the first wave of comments, but the damage was already spreading. The dojo's board of directors held an emergency meeting. Victor Langford's academy was technically run by a small board. Victor, several senior instructors, and Garrett Mercer, who held an advisory seat thanks to years of generous donations. Garrett did not attend the meeting. He did not need to. His lawyer sent a letter instead. The message was clear. If the board did not suspend Marcus immediately, the Mercer family would withdraw all financial support and pursue legal action against the academy itself. The board voted. Marcus was suspended without pay, effective immediately. Victor Langford was the only dissenting vote. Marcus got the call the next morning. Lydia Monroe delivered the news. Her voice was tight, like she was reading something she did not believe. "I am sorry, Marcus. My hands are tied." "I understand," Marcus said. He did not argue. He hung up, sat on the edge of his bed, and stared at the wall for a while. His mother's next payment was due soon. He had little in his checking account. The world was watching Marcus Langston, but nobody was helping him. Then Dominic Shaw went to work. He filed a motion to preserve all security camera footage from Victor Langford's academy for the past several months. He subpoenaed Nora Ellison's unedited video. He requested Harlan Graves' complete disciplinary history at the dojo, and that is when the cracks started showing. The dojo's security system had several cameras. Dominic's team pulled the footage from the weeks leading up to the fight. The tapes showed everything. Harlan throwing the mop, Harlan kicking the bucket, Harlan shoving the sparring helmet into Marcus's chest, Harlan blocking the hallway, Harlan throwing the kicking pad. Multiple separate incidents of harassment captured in high definition with timestamps, but it went deeper. Lydia Monroe came forward. She sat across from Dominic in his downtown office, hands folded, voice steady. She told him about the complaints, Several written complaints filed against Harlan Graves in recent years, 2 from former students, 1 from a part-time instructor who quit after Harlan threatened him during a sparring session. Every single complaint had been quietly buried, filed, acknowledged, and never acted on. The reason was obvious. Each time a complaint surfaced, a donation followed. New mats after the first complaint, new locker rooms after the second, a renovated lobby after the third. The Mercer money did not just support the dojo, it silenced it. Lydia slid a folder across the table, copies of all the complaints, plus the corresponding donation receipts. "I kept everything," she said. "I knew this day would come." Dominic looked at the folder, then at Lydia. "Why did you not speak up before?" Lydia's jaw tightened. "Because I have responsibilities and no savings. Same reason Marcus kept mopping." The case was building. Dominic had the unedited video. He had the security footage. He had the complaint history. He had witness testimony. He had a pattern of bought silence. He filed a counterclaim. Workplace harassment, hostile environment, and defamation through the distribution of a deliberately edited video. He also filed a motion to dismiss the assault charge, citing clear evidence of self-defense. For the first time in weeks, Marcus felt something other than dread. Then Randall Voss played his card. It came during the preliminary hearing. Voss stood before the judge, adjusted his tie, and requested permission to introduce a sealed military record. Marcus's sealed military record. Dominic objected immediately. The judge hesitated, but Voss argued relevance. If the defendant had a history of violent confrontation, it spoke to character and pattern of behavior. The judge allowed it. Limited scope, but allowed. Voss opened the file and read aloud. The defendant was involved in a physical altercation during his final deployment that resulted in the hospitalization of 2 fellow service members. The incident was deemed severe enough to warrant a sealed record. He paused, let the words hang in the courtroom. This is not the first time Marcus Langston has used excessive force, and the last time the United States military had to bury it. The room shifted. Reporters scribbled. Camera shutters clicked. Marcus sat motionless, eyes forward. Dominic's hand gripped his pen so hard it almost snapped. The headlines that night were devastating. Janitor's violent military past exposed in court. Sealed record reveals pattern of aggression. From hero to hazard, the Marcus Langston story takes a dark turn. The hashtag was still trending, but now it was split. Half the comments said free Marcus. The other half said lock him up. Marcus drove home in silence. He did not turn on the radio. He did not check his phone. He walked into his apartment, sat on the floor, and pressed his back against the wall. Everything he had buried, every memory, every nightmare, every reason he chose the mop over the mat was now public, and the one thing that could save him was the truth about that sealed record. But the truth needed a witness, and that witness had not spoken in years. The mediation hearing was held on a weekday morning. Room in the county courthouse. Fluorescent lights, a long oak table, no jury, no cameras. Just a court-appointed mediator named Judge Elena Vargas, a woman with reading glasses on a chain and zero patience for theatrics. On one side sat Harlan Graves and his father Garrett, flanked by Randall Voss and a paralegal carrying binders. Garrett wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than most cars. Harlan sat beside him in a blazer, arms crossed, jaw clenched. He had not spoken publicly since the video went viral. On the other side sat Marcus Langston, clean button-down shirt, slacks, hands folded on the table. Next to him, Dominic Shaw in a suit he had owned for years. No paralegal, no binders, just a single manila folder and a laptop. Judge Vargas opened the session. This is a mediation, not a trial, but I expect the same standard of honesty. Mr. Voss, you may begin. Voss stood, buttoned his jacket, and went straight for the throat. Your Honor, the respondent, Marcus Langston, is not the humble janitor the internet has made him out to be. He is a trained fighter with a documented history of violence. He clicked a remote. A screen lit up on the wall. The sealed military report. Key phrases highlighted. During his final deployment, Mr. Langston attacked 2 fellow service members with enough force to hospitalize both. The United States Army sealed this record not to protect the victim but to contain the damage. Voss paused, looked at Marcus. This is a man who hides what he is. He hid it in the military. He hid it at the dojo. And when he was finally exposed, he responded with the same violence he has always carried. The room was still. Garrett Mercer leaned back in his chair, arms folded, a thin smile on his lips. Judge Vargas turned to Dominic. Mr. Shaw, your response. Dominic did not stand. He opened his laptop, angled the screen toward the judge, and pressed play. A face appeared on screen. A man in military dress uniform, ribbons on his chest. His name was Captain Adrian Brooks. He spoke directly into the camera. His voice was steady, but his eyes were wet. My name is Captain Adrian Brooks, United States Army. During a deployment, I was the target of a hazing attack by 2 senior enlisted members of my unit. The attack was physical. It was racial. And it would have continued if Specialist Marcus Langston had not intervened. He paused, swallowed. Marcus used only the force necessary to stop the assault. He did not initiate. He did not escalate beyond what was required. The 2 attackers were hospitalized because of the severity of their own actions, not because Marcus lost control. Captain Brooks looked directly into the camera. The record was sealed at my request to protect my identity, to protect my career, not because Marcus did anything wrong. Marcus Langston saved my life that night, and I have carried the guilt of his silence for years. The video ended. The room was quiet. Garrett Mercer's smile was gone. Dominic closed the laptop. Then he opened the manila folder. Your Honor, I would like to enter the following into the record. He laid out the documents one by one. Nora Ellison's unedited video, several minutes of Harlan Graves throwing every punch first with Marcus defending without a single offensive strike. Weeks of security camera footage from Victor Langford's academy showing multiple documented incidents of harassment by Harlan Graves against Marcus Langston. Several written complaints filed against Harlan Graves by former students and staff, all buried, all followed by donations from the Mercer family. A signed statement from Lydia Monroe confirming the suppression of complaints and the financial pattern behind it. Multiple written statements from current students who witnessed Harlan's behavior, including some who admitted they laughed at the time and now regretted it. Dominic spread the papers across the table like a hand of cards. Mr. Voss wants to paint Marcus Langston as a dangerous man hiding a violent past. The truth is simpler. Marcus Langston is a man who has spent his entire life protecting people who could not protect themselves. He did it in the Army. He did it on that mat. The only thing he ever hid was his own ability, because he was afraid of what people like Harlan Graves would force him to use it for. Dominic looked at Voss, then at Garrett. The Mercers did not file this case because Harlan was injured. Harlan was not injured. He was embarrassed, and embarrassment is not a cause of action. Judge Vargas removed her glasses. She turned to Garrett Mercer. Mr. Mercer, I have reviewed the footage, all of it. Your son threw the first strike, multiple strikes. The respondent defended himself with a single controlled technique. I've also reviewed the complaint history and the donation records. She paused. The pattern here is not violence by Mr. Langston. The pattern is silence purchased by your family. Garrett's attorney leaned over and whispered something. Garrett's face tightened. He raised his hand. Your Honor, my client is prepared to discuss a private settlement. We are willing to withdraw the complaint in exchange for a mutual non-disclosure agreement and number. Marcus's voice was quiet, but it stopped the room. Everyone looked at him. It was the first word he had spoken in the entire hearing. No settlement, Marcus said. No NDA. I want a public finding. Dominic put his hand on Marcus's arm. Marcus looked at him. Dominic nodded. My client requests a formal finding on the record, Dominic said. Dismissal of all charges with prejudice and a formal notation of the harassment evidence for any future proceedings. Judge Vargas looked at Marcus for a long moment. Then she looked at Garrett Mercer, whose jaw was locked so tight a vein pulsed in his temple. "I am granting the motion," she said. "All claims against Marcus Langston are dismissed with prejudice. The evidence of workplace harassment will be preserved and noted in the court record. I'm also referring the matter of the edited video to the district attorney's office for review of potential defamation." She closed her folder. "Mr. Mercer, I would strongly advise your family to step very carefully from this point forward." Garrett stood up without a word. Harlan followed, eyes on the floor. Voss packed his binders in silence. The door closed behind them with a soft click. Marcus sat at the table. He did not move. His hands were still folded. His breathing was steady. Dominic leaned over. "You okay?" Marcus looked at him. For the first time in weeks, his eyes were clear. "Yeah," he said. "I am okay." But this ruling was not just about Marcus Langston. It was about to change everything. The news broke within hours. Every outlet that had run the edited clip now ran the correction. One channel led with, "Janitor cleared. Full footage reveals self-defense. Harassment pattern at local dojo." Another followed. "Mercer family under fire after court exposes buried complaints." The talk radio host who called Marcus a ticking time bomb issued an on-air apology. It was not enough, but it was something. Thus, the internet moved faster. Nora Ellison reposted her original unedited video with a new caption, "The full truth." Several minutes. No cuts. No edits. No lies. Within a day, it had millions of views. The comment section became a wall of support. Marcus Langston is every person who ever got disrespected at work and had to swallow it. This man defended himself with one move. One. And they tried to destroy him for it. Protect Marcus Langston at all costs. The hashtag #StandUpLikeMarcus trended nationally. At Victor Langford's academy, the fallout was swift and decisive. The board held a second emergency meeting. This time, Victor Langford ran it. He stood at the head of the table, arms folded, and spoke for less than 2 minutes. "We took money to stay quiet. That ends today." The board voted unanimously. Harlan Graves was permanently expelled from the academy. A restraining order was filed, barring him from the premises. Every dollar the Mercer family had donated over recent years, every mat, every piece of equipment, every plaque with Garrett's name on it, was returned or removed. Garrett Mercer's advisory seat on the board was dissolved. His brass nameplate in the locker room was unscrewed and placed in a box. Lydia Monroe carried it to the dumpster herself. The dojo issued a public statement. Short. Direct. No corporate language. Victor Langford's martial arts academy failed Marcus Langston. We allowed financial influence to override the safety and dignity of a member of our staff. We are committed to ensuring this never happens again. We owe Marcus not just an apology, but action. The action came the following week. Victor Langford called Marcus into his office. The same office Marcus had mopped countless times. Victor sat behind his desk. Marcus stood in the doorway, unsure whether to sit. "Sit down, Marcus." Marcus sat. Victor leaned forward. "I have known you for years. I watched you train overseas. I watched you earn your 5th Dan. I watched you walk away from all of it because you thought your hands were a curse instead of a gift." He paused. "I should have found you sooner. I should have said something the day I hired you. That is on me." Marcus shook his head. "You gave me a job when no one else would. That was enough." "It was not," Victor said, "and we both know it." He slid a folded G across the desk. White, clean, a black belt resting on top. "I want you to teach here. Not as a janitor. As a co-instructor. Full-time. Benefits. Your name on the schedule." Marcus looked at the G. He did not touch it right away. "First class is yours to design whatever you want." Marcus was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I want to teach people like me. Janitors, cleaners, kitchen workers, night shift. People who get looked through every day. I want to give them what nobody gave me, the right to stand up without being afraid of what happens next. Victor nodded. Then that is what we do. The first class was held on a weekend morning. Free admission, open to the public. Marcus stood at the front of the mat in his GI for the first time in years. Dozens of people showed up. Maintenance workers, hotel housekeepers, bus drivers, a cafeteria cook who drove a long distance to be there. Local news covered it. The cameras rolled as Marcus bowed to his students, and they bowed back. The segment aired that evening under the title, The Invisible Belt, How a Janitor Became a Sensei. But the moment that broke the internet, the moment that made grown adults cry in their living rooms, happened at the end of the class. Marcus's phone was propped against the mirror. A video call. His mother watching from the care facility. Her memory was fading, but her eyes were sharp. She watched her son teach. She watched strangers bow to him. And when the class ended, she pressed her hand to the screen. "That is my boy," she whispered, tears running down her face. "That is my boy." Marcus turned to the phone. He smiled. And for the first time in a very long time, he did not hide. In the months that followed, Victor Langford's martial arts academy looked different. The trophies were still in the window, the banners still hung from the ceiling, but next to them, a new banner. Simple black fabric, white letters. The Invisible Belt program founded by Marcus Langston, 5th Dan. Every weekend morning, the main hall filled with people who had never set foot in a dojo before. Not athletes, not competitors, workers. The ones who clocked in before sunrise and clocked out after dark. The ones whose names nobody remembered. Marcus taught them the way he had been taught. Discipline first, technique second, respect always. He did not promise them trophies. He promised them something harder to win. The ability to stand in a room and not feel invisible. The program started with dozens of students. Within months, there were over 100. Other dojos in the state adopted the curriculum. A martial arts academy in another city reached out. Then another. Marcus did not charge a cent. Victor covered the costs through the academy's budget. Local businesses donated equipment. A nonprofit was formed to fund expansion. Dominic Shaw handled the paperwork pro bono. The movement had a name. #StandUp, like Marcus. It was not just a hashtag anymore. It was a program, a philosophy, a promise that the people society looked through deserved to feel powerful too. Nora Ellison documented everything. She quit her graphic design job and started filming full-time. Her short documentary, The Invisible Belt, premiered at a community film festival. Several minutes long, no narration, just footage of Marcus's students learning to stand, to breathe, to strike, to bow. The final shot was a janitor in hospital scrubs throwing a perfect roundhouse kick, tears in her eyes. The film won Best Short Documentary. Streaming platforms requested distribution rights. Lydia Monroe was promoted to assistant director of the academy. She implemented a new policy. All complaints filed at Victor Langford's would be reviewed by an independent panel. No exceptions. No donations could override the process. She kept a printed copy of the policy on her desk next to a framed photo of Marcus's first class. Victor Langford stepped back from the tournament circuit. He spent more time at the dojo, teaching alongside Marcus. Some afternoons, the two of them trained together after hours, the way they used to years ago before life pulled them apart. No students, no cameras. Just two old warriors moving through kata in the quiet. And Harlan Graves. Harlan did not disappear. He did not move away. He enrolled in an anger management program, court recommended, but he stayed longer. He never made a public statement, never posted about it. But months after the hearing, a handwritten letter arrived at Victor Langford's academy. No return address, 2 sentences. "I was wrong. I am working on it." Lydia recognized the handwriting. She showed it to Marcus. He read it, folded it, and put it in his pocket. He never mentioned it again. Some wounds do not heal with apologies, but some people deserve credit for trying. Now, if you are still watching, I need you to do something. Think about the Marcuses in your life. The person at your office who cleans the floors after everyone leaves, the woman at your gym who wipes down the equipment, the man who stocks the shelves at your grocery store late at night. You walk past them every day. Do you see them? Drop a comment below. Tell me about a time you were underestimated or a time you watched someone else get overlooked and wished you had spoken up. I will read every single one. If this story moved you, share it. Not for the algorithm, for the person in your life who needs to hear it today. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, because stories like Marcus's happen every day and someone needs to tell them. Use the hashtag #StandUpLikeMarcus. Make it loud. Never judge someone by their job title. The quietest person in the room might be the strongest one there. Respect costs you nothing, but ignoring people costs everything. Stand up for the invisible ones, because sometimes the people nobody notices are the ones carrying the heaviest weight. #StandUpLikeMarcus.